Welcome back to another Andrew Rayburn mixing tutorial here. And We're going to be talking about mixing parallel compression. We're going to use Afro pop stems. And One of my fans was asking if I can find his comment. Um, can you do a parallel compression tutorial? While I was explaining some of the secrets the pros are doing now, which you may not be practicing. So I have a track here, and this is the artist, but I can't disclose her name, and I don't have the information on her full song, but she's happy to give me the stems, and so we have to respect these artists, right? So I'm going to play a track here, and I'm going to show you uh, multiple ways you can use parallel compression, and when you need it. So let's analyze this track here. Let's get right into it, right?
I was thinking back in time that laid up, and I was trying to face the things that hurt me so long. Sometimes I feel the loneliness inside me, yeah. I could run for a little hope, baby. You see me there, cause I'm looking for a little hope. You push me back, but I get up for a little hope. You see me there, cause I'm looking for a little hope, babe, for a little hope, baby, yeah.
Okay, right off the bat, I can tell we have a nice round bottom end on the kick drum here. Let's listen to the bass solo. Okay, we can do a little parallel compression on the bass and also on the vocals. So let's see what's going on with the generally how I do parallel compression. 90% of my mix I use it, depending if the kick needs volume. You know, you might say, Ray, why don't you just turn up the kick while I use parallel compression? Parallel compression actually gives you more rounder feel while keeping the natural tone of the kick. So let's listen to this kick drum here. Let's listen to the kick. I'm doing the wrong thing here. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna call up an EQ here. I'm just gonna let's see. Let's use a random EQ. Let's try the SSL. Now, if you're listening very closely, we might not need to parallel compress that kick, but what we can do is take out a little bit of low end there. Let's turn on the filter. And I'm hearing a little right about there. Let's hear the bass. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use an auxiliary track, right? So I'm gonna go to my add a bus here. I'm gonna add two. I'm gonna explain to you why I'm using two. I'm gonna call this bass comp, short for what I'm gonna send a copy of the bass. I'm gonna call this bass aux. And the output of the bass comp is gonna be out of the bass aux, and the output of the bass aux is gonna be to the music bus. So I wanna get more volume on this bass, right? I'm gonna send the bass out of the bass auxiliary track. So let's play that. Just to be on the safe side, I'm gonna give it a little bit of a quick EQ here. Let me pull up any EQ will do. So I'm gonna roll off maybe a little bit of 30, a little bit of 63. I'm getting a lot of low end information. This is just to balance off the bass, right? Turn on analog. And what I'm gonna do on your, what you do with parallel compression, you basically send a copy of the signal to an auxiliary track, and you put a compressor or a distortion plugin on it. and mostly compressors, or you can use something like a tape machine. That's why they call it parallel compression. So this bass is coming out of the bass auxiliary track. So I'm gonna go and put an analog compressor here. Let's see what we can use. Let's use a tone house bus compressor, and I'm gonna use a little bit of EQ since it's the bass we're messing with here. Let's bring up this basic EQ here. We want to cut out the low end information from the bass on the parallel compression track, so we can keep the mid range, right? So let's go ahead and send the copy to the bass comp, and I'm gonna leave my threshold about 2 to 1. I'm gonna bring the threshold down. I'm gonna set the attack to about 3. Release to about auto. And I'm gonna roll off a little bit of low end, just to take care of that rumbling. And automatically, if I'm getting a little bit more volume here. Also, we can try and experiment with a GTR amp. Let's try that. Let's set it to a distortion, maybe edge. Take us on the mid-range. And on the bass auxiliary track, we can put something like an L2 just to control the overall volume. So this is how you can typically use parallel compression. You can use it in a number of ways. You can do it in advanced using sidechain. Let's see what it sounds like with the track.
I know it's trying to face the things that hurt me so long. Sometimes I feel the loneliness inside me, yeah. I could run for a little hope, baby. You see me there, cause I'm looking for a little hope. You push me back, but I get up for a little hope. You see me there,
off.
cause I'm looking for a little hope, baby, for a little hope, baby, yeah.
Let's use a compressor here. So automatically power compression off on, so we get a fuller sound, right? Let's take off some of the keyboard sound. I'm gonna do some EQ as well, because I'm hearing some tones that are disturbing my ears. Let's extend the cue so we can find that spot. Maybe right about here. Let's bring it back. There it is. Okay, it's not bothering as much, right? So by just sending a copy to the bass auxiliary track. I'm using a compression. I'm compressing it pretty heavy. I'm rolling off the low end. Where am I? I'm rolling off a low end here just to keep some of the mid range, and also I'm using a guitar amp here to give it a little bit of distortion so it sounds a little bit fuller. And on top of that, it's coming out of the bass auxiliary, so I'm running out through a CLA 2A here with a little bit of EQ and a L2. You can see why I automatically go to plugins, right? So I can get everything put together. Now, how else I can do a parallel compression? Let's try it on the vocals, right?
I know it's trying to face the things that hurt me so long.
I can hear her vocals.
Sometimes I feel the loneliness inside me, yeah. I could run for a little hope, baby. You see me there, 'cause I'm looking.
In this case, I don't really have to parallel compress her voice. But for the sake of the tutorial, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna send her vocals to a vocal auxiliary, same setup, and I'm gonna exaggerate the compression here. Her voice is gonna get a little bit louder since we're gonna send a copy.
Trying to face the things that hurt me so long. Sometimes I feel the loneliness inside me, yeah. I could run for a little hope, baby. You see me there, 'cause I'm looking for a little hope. You push me back, but I get up for a little hope.
And what you want to do is you can give her a little bit of space with some reverb here.
You see me there, 'cause I'm looking for a little hope, babe, for a little hope, baby, yeah.
People might say, Ray, how do you get the reverb to go that way? I've done tons of videos on reverb, but try to set your time to about 2.40, maybe 50 seconds. Take the diffusion all the way down, and do a little bit of EQ on it. Bring it back.
Time they're laid out. I know it's trying to face the things that hurt me so
Like I said, she didn't need the parallel compression.
long. Sometimes I feel the loneliness inside me, yeah.
I would just use a CLA to balance off her vocals here.
I could run for a little hope, baby. You see me there, 'cause I'm looking for a little hope. You push me back, but I get up for a little hope. You see me there, 'cause I'm looking for a little hope, babe, for a little hope, baby, yeah.
So you can experiment, guys. Let's do a little bit more experiment. Let's use a distortion plugin here. Let's try a tape machine. Just showing you guys what. Let's use the saturation soft tube here. Let's see what that does, right?
A little hope, baby. You see me there, 'cause I'm looking for a little hope. You push me back, but I get up for a little hope. You see me there, 'cause I'm looking for a little hope, babe, for a.
So we can try parallel compression with a number of things. Let's even try a guitar amp, right? Let's see what we'll get away with. Let's try the soft tube. Let's see. Where is the angle amplifier? Let's see if I can find that real quick. I'm gonna try maybe plug-in Alliance. I believe they're the ones. Yeah, let's try this amplifier and see what we get, right? And you can control the amount of sends you do. I normally typically like to do it about standard, like -6.0. Let's try it.
Baby, yeah.
you can make some creative sound effects here. Let's play around with the amp settings a little bit here.
Time that laid out. I know it's trying to face the things that hurt me so long. Sometimes I feel the loneliness inside me, yeah.
Let's try a lead.
I could run for a little hope, baby. You see me there, cause I'm looking for a little hope. You push me back, but I get up for a little hope. You see me there, cause I'm looking for a little hope, babe, for a little hope, baby, yeah.
And you can create interesting sound effects. That's how you get that distortion sound using the guitar amps, right? Let's see if we have another one we can use here. Let's see, Mega Dual. Let's see what's going on here. So I'm just showing you guys what all you can do. Let's try the rock rack. Let's see what we can get out of that. And you can write in the balance.
I know it's trying to face the things that hurt me so long. Sometimes I feel the loneliness inside me, yeah. I could run for a little hope, baby. You see me there, cause I'm looking for a little hope. You push me back, but I get up for a little hope. You see me there, cause I'm looking for a little hope.
I can control the send from out here. Bring it up. So I'm just sharing that with you guys. Support me. You can link me up on FB. You can also purchase my rhythms. Look up Pristine Productions on YouTube and also on Facebook. And we'll catch you on the next.